Well, Cuba is joining forces with China to develop a new vaccine designed to combat emerging strains of Covid-19. Now, it's called Pan-Corona, and it may be the first time the two communist governments have collaborated on a vaccine. And this comes at a crucial time as coronavirus cases and deaths in Cuba are surging. Cuba currently has several other vaccine candidates in the work. And starting today, scientists say Cuba will begin inoculating 150,000 frontline workers as part of the final phase of the country's leading vaccine candidate. Well, Patrick Oppman joins me now from Havana. Patrick, good to see you. So it's interesting that after dealing with US sanctions for such a long time, Cuba's really carved out this biotech industry and has at least 4, I think, vaccines in development, right?
Well, 5 actually, and it's you can be forgiven for not being able to keep track, because every day we hear about new projects, and it probably says a lot about how well it's going for Cuba. That increasing, we're seeing more countries wanting to partner with Cuba. Cuba has tested its vaccines in Iran. Venezuela has come out recently and said that they are going to test Cuban vaccines. And this interesting partnership with China that actually Cuban scientists at the Chinese government's request, we are told, will travel to China and work on, which would be the 6th Cuban vaccine in the works, a Cuban-Chinese vaccine. And of course, as you were saying, Cuba is a country that faces U.S. sanctions. So decades ago, Cuba's government, Fidel Castro, really made the decision that they would develop their own vaccines because they couldn't depend on getting them from abroad. It was just too expensive, and many times companies did not want to deal with a country like Cuba that is under U.S. sanctions. So very early on in the pandemic, they made the bet, the gamble really, that they would not import vaccines from abroad, that they would try to develop their own vaccines. If those vaccines hadn't worked, Cuba would really be in dire straits. Fortunately, it appears that these vaccines, at least 2 of them, are working. They are in stage 3 trials. And as you were saying, Lynda, today we're seeing really the first mass vaccinations. 150,000 people will get the vaccine here in Havana, frontline workers, and another 50 or so thousand will get a second vaccine, which is in the final trials on the other end of the island. So hoping to get the numbers of ill and the numbers of deaths down here finally as those vaccines finally begin to roll out.
Good to hear. Let's hope that is the case. And as always, good to see Patrick Oppman for us in Havana. Thank you. Well, still to come, Australian authorities are evacuating thousands of people as floods there worsen. We'll see when this relentless rain might be stopping, and the trial of a Canadian man held on espionage charges in China ends as it begins, shrouded in secrecy. We'll have a live report from Canada coming up.